Hey guys, gonna go off the beaten path tonight. I'm gonna share a story that's interesting to me, but it's not necessarily gonna sound good at all. I remember this quite clearly. I won't say any names. I'll keep it safe for everyone because it's all past. There's nothing should be done about it. I'm only gonna share what has happened. I was about, I want to say about 14, 15 at this point. And there was some, in our high school, we had open lunch, which meant you could leave school, go get something, you had to be back by a certain time. So you had a little window, go get some to eat, or if you had a car, you could go a little further. But a lot of times that's for some, if people had disagreements or fights, it's typically when they would start. And if you have certain, certain groups of people back then, and this is, at a time where there was still a little more freedom as far as self-expression in a combative form, not with anything lethal. I'm talking just hands. People just getting into scraps. Well, by this time, I'd been doing a lot of boxing training on my own, and and also at a certain point in high school, like there was you were trying to watch out for friends and things, but sometimes you get pulled into other people's beefs, and that kind of happened a little bit, and it was around like a Halloween, and I remember my brother saying something like there was something on fire outside. So I thought, oh crap, like the house? And it wasn't. It was like that crappy material, not crappy material, but the kind of like edging around a door frame. Someone nailed it to look like a cross, and they started it on fire in my lawn, right? To try to like, because they knew, wanted to let me know that they knew where I lived, you know? And, but they didn't know that I'd been training for a while now at all. But I didn't see. I saw a group of people like running away, and when their vehicle turned a corner, I saw it under the streetlight. I recognized it, and I saw it at school, in the parking lot. But I didn't know whose it was. I just kind of know. I know the group, you know. So, coming back after after an open lunch, when I saw a large group of people around that vehicle, and I didn't know which ones were involved, but I was pretty sure that some or all of them knew who had something to do with what they did at my house. And so I was just by myself, and I just walked up to them. And I didn't threaten them because I wanted to be able to still go to school, because I figured if I got in a fight, I was going to get expelled, that nonsense. So I just walked up to him calmly, and I didn't point any fingers and say, hey, I know who it was. I was like, hey, do you know whose truck is that? And they didn't want to tell me. But I was like, I don't need to know. I was like, can you give him a message for me? And I just told him, like, hey, anybody that has anything to do with that little thing at my house, you tell them, come on by after school. I'll have the garage door open, right? Bring anybody you want, okay? Your mom, your dad, your grandmother, I don't care. Anyone who's got a problem, we'll do it there, okay? One-on-one, one at a time, we'll do it there. And then we can be done with it. turn around and walk away. Get out of school, get home as fast as I could. Ma, I got friends coming over. We're gonna be sparring, so it's gonna get loud. Just don't worry about it, all right? We're just playing around. All right, just be safe. All right, lock the door to the house, close it. Garage is open. I'm just standing there waiting. And by the time they got there, I had enough time to clear out all the garage. So they walked in. They didn't see any of the weights. They didn't see any of the heavy bags. They didn't see any of the thing to give them an idea of what I was doing. It looked like an empty garage. Right? But what I didn't expect is that 4 trucks would show up. And it was people in all of them. And they got out and it was 12 people. Some of them I knew, some of them I didn't. And some of them were big, right? So I had to really, because if they would have all just jumped me, I would have had no chance whatsoever, right? So I had to keep control. I knew it wasn't going to have any problem in my house. So I was like, hey, once they got in the garage, right? I just closed the garage and then I just looked at the group and I said, hey, look, it's just me. There's no one else showing up and no one's leaving. You're all gonna stand on the side over here. Do I even have a gun? I don't know. I was like, but we're gonna fucking do it like this. You're gonna stand as a group. I didn't have a gun at all. I just said that to make them unsure. I didn't have one. I had boxing gloves is all I had. And they were all expecting to fight. So I was like, this is no problem. You all stand here. Here's the gloves. I'm going to use these, or you can use them. I don't care. Someone put on these gloves. And when you take them, when you're done, take them off. And then you sit over there. And when everyone's sitting over there, I'll open that door and you can leave. And one at a time, it's going to happen. So while they were figuring out who was going to put the gloves on, by this point, with a canvas heavy bag, at least 3 different spots in this heavy bag I had stuck my entire fist in, and stuffing was coming out every time I hit the dang thing. Stuffing, I have to gather up all the stuffing later and be shoving it in, and eventually had duct taped the whole thing just to keep it together, right? That's why I figured it was time to, if I'm ripping holes in that bag, I figured it'd be enough to work on them, to at least stop all the nonsense so I can try to get to class, right? But it worked a little better than I had hoped. So a number of different 6-hit combos, or 5, 6-hit combos, I was breaking them up because I figured if I had to go 1 round each, by the 3rd person, if I'm doing the same stuff, they're gonna know, and then I'll start losing. So I figured, okay, instead of doing that whole combo on that one guy, I'll do this part of it on him, I'll do that part of it on him, I'll do this part of it on him, and I just broke it up so that they wouldn't see the same thing twice. And the biggest guy, of course, puts the gloves on first, thinking size is gonna matter, but speed and technique will beat size anytime. And it worked beautifully. And yeah, I didn't push it, I didn't abuse. As soon as they quit, I stopped, take the gloves off, give it to another guy, sit the F down. And I went all the way through all of them. And sometimes it was just, 2 hit, pop, pop, and it was done. Right? So I was fresh all the way through those guys because they didn't even push me to work. It was just, it was easy. And the funny thing was, and I didn't yell at them either. As soon as they quit, that's it, you're done, sit, next. You're all there? Anybody else? All right. Open the garage. And then I stood there and I watched them all get up and walk as a big group. And no one said a word. No one said anything. They were just looking at the ground and they walked to their vehicles. And I stood there and waited. They got in their vehicles and they still weren't talking. They're just looking down, and they drove off, and no one said a word. Went back to school the next day. All those problems, any kind of beef, any issue, weird looks, any of that nonsense, gone. It evaporated. Yep. I know they're saying you shouldn't have bullies to begin with, but if you turn it around and you show them the same treatment, a lot of times they don't like it, and especially when you give them no choice. Yeah, I gave them something to think about, and I bet you, I don't remember who they were even, but I bet you they remember that day just like I do. And it's somehow a positive message, right? It sounds negative, right? But there's a lot of positive messages in that, and not just martial arts or some kind of discipline can help give you that, but not just the information, not just the technique, but that making it ingrained to your nature, right? Those things became natural reaction. I didn't have to think. Once I decided, okay, this for there, this for there, this for there, the expression of it was, okay, ready, ding, bang, done. So that kind of focus, and then, right, see it, do it, and really tighten that gap. That's a good thing to have, not just in a combative form. You can use that anywhere, right? It's important to have good awareness. But I mean, I'm just saying, I went from something where I didn't know, didn't have that security or safety, right? Took some time, ingrained it, relied upon it, and then expanded on it, and continued to rely on it. And that's something I never gave up since high school. You know, I'm half 100 years old almost. Right? But it's just like still there, and I hope it lasts a lifetime. Because, well, there'll be another tale that I'll talk about where I get an extension of this, where it's hard body conditioning. That's another fun one. I'll tell that right after this, so this one doesn't get too long. All right. I might tell a couple of these where it's a little bit teetering on the edge, where it sounds like something bad, but it's something you can pull positive from a negative that can almost be a multiplier for it, to almost where the worst thing that happened, you can multiply the good from it. Not in every case, but I'm just saying in a few of the cases I've found for myself, right? Where there was a clear present danger, say, in that garage. I didn't know if they had any kind of weapons, right? I didn't even think about any of that. You know what I mean? I could have been in danger. But I relied on the instincts I was honing. I didn't try to control those instincts. I then let them out to show me how much they improved. You know, when you're riding those milliseconds and you're not thinking anything, but it's reacting. Not just what you're going to do to them, but how you react to what they're doing and how that changes what you're going to have to do. To the heartbeat, to the breath, to the positioning, everything. It's like an art, like a painting, but in a physical form. And, the picture I was able to paint was my complete safety, inches from danger. And when you figure something like that out early, and I went I was a kid at that point, so I was still in the middle of going full throttle into the abyss, you know, just testing all edges of it. We used to go to the mall. This is before UFC. This is before MMA. This is before leagues and things like that. This is, before the internet. This is long before all those things, right? So if you were lucky, you had a pocket of people. If you were unlucky, you were alone. Forced with all this, because you couldn't really change it if you didn't have a chance to change it. You had to deal with it. So it kind of led to the necessity to find the motivation, to find the skill to get out of that situation. Yeah. Yeah. And all that training, controlled the stimulus, led to the outcome. It wasn't like a goal. It just was a path to an end. Yeah. And I think that's it makes me laugh. I think I can go a lot of branches from that, but there's a number of things like that I can tell. Back in a time when you could still get in a fist fight and not get in trouble for it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. It was a very proud moment. I was proud during. I mean, as soon as I jab hook the big guy at the start, you should have heard the gasp. They were all like, "What have we done?" And I didn't even try yet. And I was thinking, geez, I was gonna use the ones that I could put the hole in the heavy bag. I wanted to see what that would do. I had to break those up into smaller bits just to be able to use it, because I couldn't apply it all on each one. They were that much weaker than I expected. So all this fear that I had, oh my God, how am I gonna deal with all this? I was already so much further than all of them could even try to bring to me that I don't even think I broke a sweat. I'm not bragging, I'm just saying. If I could feel more free in speaking of the names and these people, I could tell you far more details. But I haven't talked to them people in forever, and I wouldn't do that, so I'll just stick to the tale. And yeah, I got a couple more like that I can tell that might be interesting. Yeah, the next one's coming right now. Hard body conditioning, next.